In this episode we've got for you, we're going to go step by step through the ISO 9001-2015 standard, and I'm going to give you some how-to instructions. I'm going to give you some long chain information and give you the opportunity to work through that standard, and hopefully I can help you. Okay, in this episode of the standard, we're going to start where I think we should start in the context of ISO 9001, and that's not at clause number 1, it's down in management review. Ultimately, ISO 9001 is about delivering promises to your clients that you've made, your customers, your marketplace, those sorts of things. And I think, in my opinion, when we're working with clients and we're understanding what's going on, and I've seen all the other videos out on YouTube, I think the thing that gets missed is, it's human behavior to start at number 1, but that's not actually the real world. What we're doing is we're making promises to our clients. We've got this hungry crowd and we've got a solution for the marketplace. Well, what a quality management system is about, it's about consistency, it's about integrity, it's about delivering promises, it's about uplifting and creating amazing experiences for your customers. And for me, the place to start in the standard is at management review. I've got the standard open here and we're just going to go through clause by clause, but this episode's all about management review. Okay, now in the old standard, ISO 9001-2008, management review was under clause 5.6. Now that's moved down to clause 9.3 in the new standard, and with the restructuring of the standard, we're calling it Annex SL. All the international standards have the same flow. So management review's typically been dropped right to the bottom. Now I'd actually challenge that in the marketplace in terms of, yes, that's the human behavior in terms of the flow, but ultimately we get together and we come up with a strategy. And in businesses that are startups, that's ultimately what's happening. The founder's got this idea, there's this very hungry crowd in the marketplace that want the particular product or service, and then we start with a business. So under 9.3, we're going to start there in this episode. I'm going to take you through it, we'll have a bit of a look at the clause, and then I'm going to give you some suggestions in terms of how to approach it. I think it's the most important part of any business. I think it's the time that you take to review your strategy. In bigger businesses that are publicly listed, they've got board meetings. Small businesses, it might be just, sitting around on a Friday afternoon scratching your head going, I don't know how I'm going to fix this. So let's just quickly have a look at the clause, and then we're going to go through and work out what we do to address it. So it talks about top management reviewing the organisation's quality management system. It talks about planned intervals. It talks about making sure that things continues to be suitable. It's adequate, it's effective, it's aligned with the strategic direction of the organisation, and it says that this is all about the quality management system. But hey, hang on a minute, let's stop. What if this is just the way we operate? What if we forgot about the fact that the quality management system might exist in one part of the business? Why don't we just talk about how you operate, how you do things around here? So what we want to do is we want to work out, is what we're doing, the way that we give instructions to people in the business, the system, is that helping us? Is it aligning with our strategic direction? You might be starting to change into a different suite of services. You might be going more online. You might be going more customer service driven. You might be less of your own products, more of someone else's. So the intent of this clause is actually take that time to say, well, what were our goals? What was it that we wanted to do? Now, you might not have written all of the bullet points down in your business plan. You might have just had the ideas in your head, and are we actually going in that direction? So when we want to strategically address this clause, it's very much a sit-down look at the performance of the business. If you want to provide evidence or a record of doing that, it's a set of meeting minutes, it's scribbles all over some performance reports, graphs, data, statistics, it's a folder with a whole bunch of spreadsheets pumped in. So that's the type of evidence that we're looking for, and that's what you're going to create. It's showing evidence. You're getting externally assessed. It's showing evidence that you've actually stopped, looked at the performance of the business, and then made some real fact-based decisions in terms of the direction for you to go forward. So we've got 9.3.1 general, and then we've got 9.3.2 management review inputs. So I'm just going to go through this, and I'm going to say, look, these are the things to make sure you include in this strategic review that you're doing of the business that we call, obviously, management review. We're talking about actions from previous management reviews. Now, remembering at this point in time, we're coming off the back of very formal management reviews that were very meetings, minutes based. So following that very formal theme, the first part of the standard at this point in time says don't forget about your previous set of meeting minutes and any actions, if you like. Changes in external and internal issues that are relevant to the quality management system. Information on the performance and effectiveness of the quality management system. So that's realistically, that's information on the performance and effectiveness of the business. Making sure you include customer satisfaction, any feedback from external interested parties, extent to which your goals were met, the process, performance and conformity to your systems and processes and products and services, non-conformities and corrective actions, monitoring and measurement results, audit results, and performance of external providers. Now that's your spreadsheet, if you like, so that you can understand your trends analysis. Then we continuing to look at the adequacy of resources, the effectiveness of actions taken to address risks and opportunities for improvement. So it's really that strategic view. So what I'd like you to think about when you're taking this content and you're working out what our direction forward is, this is the strategic review of the whole of the organisation. Then don't worry about it just being the quality management system. All you need to think about is your external, your certification company or your registrar or your accreditation body or your company that's like best practice out in the marketplace. Then you just tell them, go certify that part of the business, don't certify this one. But you use this for the this is the guideline for this full strategic review of the business. Now what I want to share with you is just this last part of the standard before we go. I'm going to tell you about how I do it in my business here at Best Practice. So the outputs of this management review, which is section 9.3.3, it talks about the outputs of management review and what to include. Ultimately, it's about decisions and then actions. What actions or what tactics are you going to implement to actually take you forward? Because what's going to happen in the next management review, you're going to say, well, how did we go with those actions? The decisions and actions, tactics, relate to opportunities for improvement. You're going to improve the business. Now, the fundamental priority there is on customer satisfaction. How can you enhance your delivery? How can you improve the experience for your customers? How can you uplift it so what they're feeling, what they're enjoying as your service is amazing? Any changes needed for the way that you operate the business? It says here, changes to the quality management system, but I'm going to say when you read this is 9.3.3b, any changes for the quality management system, I'm going to say to you changes to the way you operate. Then we're going to talk about resource needs. You're talking about budgets, you're talking about staff, you're talking about raw materials, suppliers, all those sorts of things. They're all part of the resource needs. And ultimately, the organisation shall retain documented information as evidence of these management reviews. So when we're talking about that, it used to be write the minutes and there's dates and times, an open meeting, closing meeting, does everybody accept this motion? That's all out of the picture because it's not efficient. You want to focus on what you can do to improve your customer's experience. Now I'm just going to quickly run through this clause and I'm going to talk about how we operate here at Best Practice. Okay, now Best Practice uses a quarterly strategic review system, and if you've had a look at our YouTube channel, you'll see strategic reviews and how we do that. You'll see us all in a meeting, you'll see me talking to camera, all that sort of stuff. But ultimately what we do is we set a date and time on a quarterly basis and it's locked in. Now I know those dates for the next 12 months. There's 4 meetings, we start at 8 AM, we finish at 6 PM on a set date and it's not negotiable. I don't care if people are sick, and in fact, I don't determine this, it's the whole team, it's the executive of Best Practice. We get together. If you're sick, you still come along. If you're dying, you still come along. Now, ultimately what's going to happen is, and all jokes aside, but if you're actually dead, we'll have it at your funeral. So, all jokes aside, nothing is more important than what we can do to uplift the experience of our customers and what we can do to uplift the business. So we set that, it's locked in, it's planned a year in advance, and we all plan around it. In fact, my next holiday has to finish 2 days before this next strategy meeting so I can prepare. So that's, it's giving you a bit of a guide in terms of how committed we are to this process. If somebody is sick and they're so sick that they're going to spread a noxious disease, then yes, we'll postpone it. But there's 8 people involved in that meeting. The time set aside, it's in everybody's calendars, it's all planned in advance. Yes, everybody's available, yes, we're all available, and it needs to be something absolutely exceptional for it to not take place. So what we do is we call them here at Best Practice, we call them rocks. We set ourselves a plan, we go through those rocks, And if you've heard the story about, rocks, sand, pebbles, and water in the jar, that's exactly the analogy that we use. And we go through, we set ourselves goals, we set ourselves targets, and then we set ourselves projects, and then we go every quarter and we look at how we went. And part of some of the changes, if you like, in our business is we're seeing a significant trend in our business to movement to an online marketplace and a social media marketplace. And that's absolutely critical for us. Now, we made some small changes in our business recently just to test the market, and we saw an incredible response to that. So when we get to, the effectiveness of actions taken to address risks and opportunities, we've got an opportunity in the marketplace, and so we're looking at how well we're responding to that. So you want to make this thing real life. It's not just about, the quality manager sitting down and driving this meeting. It's about the quality manager and you people out there in the marketplace who are the quality managers or the coordinators or the strategic directors, those sorts of things. It's about you being the master of ceremonies, if you like, to facilitate discussion. So it's not just about, tabling the quality report and this is the quality management system. I'd like you to use the terminology and move towards using the terminology of business management system so we can understand how to actually physically implement that. Now, I can talk all day about this. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. What I wanted to do here was give you something that you can really, really get your teeth into. Take some time, go through this clause of the standard. It's a really great way to understand how we can move forward. Don't start at number one scope. I'd like you to start at section 9. Over the next couple of episodes, you can follow the playlist in our YouTube channel. Make sure you ask questions in the comments below. I read every single comment below this video, so drop down so you can see the description and have a look at the comments. We'll go backwards and forwards as soon as this video goes live. We're here to help. So I want you to have a look at this. Start with clause 9, management review of the standard. Do a management review. Next episode, we're going to start talking about internal audits and process review, and we'll move on through the standard in the way that I believe it works, and it works well. Then we'll summarize it all at the end with a process flow so that you've got some notes to go back to. So like this particular video so you can come back to it, subscribe to our channel so you get some more updates, and don't forget to follow us daily on Facebook and LinkedIn for some great updates. See you soon.